Alright, Hunter changes for 5.4. Now, I do play other classes besides just a priest. In fact, back in Cataclysm, I used to raid on 2 teams. One of them, I was on my priest, and the other raid team, I was on my hunter. And my hunter is the first character I ever leveled up, and it was the first character I ever raided on back in Wrath. And I raided all of Cataclysm with my hunter and priest, and then I got kicked out of my raid group at the end of Cataclysm on my hunter. And I'd pretty much just raided on my priest because it was kind of tiring on 2 raid teams for that whole expansion. So I do keep up with hunters because hunters will always be my favorite class because they're so awesome. Anyways, let's go on to the changes. From what I've seen, they changed a lot because they removed readiness. General changes. The following hunter pet abilities no longer cost focus to use: dash, dive, and charge. That's neat. Arcane Shot now deals, well, actually I'll just go back to that. Those don't really matter because you only ever used them at the very beginning of the fight to like run in, and by the time they actually got to the boss, it would already have been back up to 100%. So I guess it's just a nice change for when you were target switching and didn't have enough focus to actually use it to run all the way across the room to the next part. Arcane Shot now does 125% range weapon damage up for 100% and has its focus cost increased by 50%. So I think it was like 30 focus now from like 20. So it used to be you just spam the shit out of Arcane Shot when you were having too much focus. And now it'll actually hit a lot harder, which will make some of the other talents that like gave you way too much focus to actually spend might actually be worth it now. Counter Shot is now a baseline interrupt ability learned by all hunters at level 22. Counter Shot was their way of removing silencing shot as a talent, which is awesome because they really should have given us Counter Shot forever ago. Deterrence now has a 3-minute cooldown, up from 2 minutes, but has 2 charges. This works kind of like Angelic Feather, or what other abilities have charges on them? I don't know, I can only think of Angelic Feather because I play Priest all the time, where it has like different charges with all different cooldowns on it. I was testing this out on the beta, no, on the PTR, not beta. And because they removed readiness, you can't reset it anymore to use 2 of them. So you can still use them back to back, it's just they have 2 separate 3-minute cooldowns, which is awesome. That's a really great change. Don't think of it as nerfing it by increasing its cooldown to 3 minutes. Think of it as like a huge buff because you now have 2 charges of it, with each of them having a separate 3-minute cooldown. Disengage now has a cooldown of 20 seconds, down from 25 seconds, and they removed the combat requirement to disengage. That's not on here for some reason. It might be on later on, but that combat requirement I think is so cool because I remember I race changed my hunter to a goblin at the start of Cataclysm because of the forward disengage, which is so cool. Because I always use disengage to just jump, spin in mid-air, and disengage forward anyway. How I also had the rocket jump, what I could use just right after it. And disengage would have been awesome if you could use it out of combat, because you could use it to like get into cool spots, or from running from the auction house to the mailbox. But my guy was already a goblin in the first place. But disengage does have a further leap, so that's gonna be fun for some random world jumping over cliffs and shit. Explosive Trap had an overall damage decrease by 30%. Proportionately, more damage has been removed from the initial damage than the periodic effect. They reduced its damage because they also removed it from lock and load, if I remember correctly. And they also like increased its duration to like a minute or some shit like that. It's crazy. Hunter's Mark now has a 20-second duration of 20 seconds while in PvP combat, down from 30 seconds. That's cool. I know I play my rogue a lot in PvP, and it's kind of annoying to have a Hunter's Mark last. No, what's really annoying is that stupid Fairy Fire, which lasts like 45 seconds. Hunter's Mark isn't really that bad because it doesn't prevent you from going stealth. They can just see you while you're stealth, while Fairy Fire, 45 seconds, you can't stealth, and it sucks. Readiness has been removed. Yay, I guess. Because it wasn't really, because they buffed everything else to compensate for that. Readiness just made the opening very convoluted and clunky, and you had to like do so many cooldowns in such a short amount of time because it reset everything. Revive Pet no longer requires a hunter to have line of sight to their pet. Oh, that's cool. That would be awesome. And what'd you make? Because I used to PvP on my hunter pretty hardcore in arenas. And I remember they would just kill my pet, and then it would be awesome if I'd be able to just run behind a pillar and res it. Stampede, damage dealt by pets when the ability is used outside of an arena or battleground is no longer reduced by 75%. Actually, weren't you already able to revive pet from behind a pillar? Because it would like remove their body. I didn't know revive pet had a line of sight requirement. Anyway, Stampede, they changed Stampede so that the damage they deal is always 100%, except when you're in arenas or battlegrounds. Instead, they'll only do 25% of their damage. So it's actually like a really big DPS talent now in raiding, when before it was just neat to have all their little buffs and abilities, but they removed those. So now it's just a huge cooldown again, where the pets come out and they do a ton of damage. Beast Cleave range has been increased from 10 yards up from 8 yards. Oh, that's cool. Kill command damage has been increased by 34%. Again, they're increasing the buff of everything because of the readiness being removed, but kill command, 34%, that's a lot. Wasn't Beastmaster already top? Aim shot now deals 450% range damage, up from 350%. Oh nice, 100% damage increase. Well, it doesn't actually increase aim shot's damage by 100%, increasing the range weapon damage by 100%. From 350, I would say that increases its damage probably by about a third, or maybe a fourth. Yeah, Binding Shot is no longer a marksman hunter ability, and is once again a talent. Oh, that's cool. Because a good combo with Binding Shot is to throw it down, and then people will stand still so they don't get stunned, and then you throw an explosive trap with the glyph in the middle of it and knock everyone out and stun them. Survival. Explosive shot damage has been increased by 27%. Explosive trap no longer shares a cooldown with Black Arrow, but can no longer activate lock and load. Finally. Explosive damage has been increased. I remember at like the beginning of Dragon Soul when Explosive Trap was better DPS than Black Arrow, and it was such a pain in the ass to launch it because Trap Launcher worked like shit back in Cataclysm, and it was just a huge pain in the ass to launch it at the boss who probably wouldn't proc it because Explosive Trap was better DPS because it had a better chance of proccing lock and load than Black Arrow. And that's why they changed Black Arrow to tick every 2 seconds, was because of that. Explosive shot damage has been increased by 27%. Actually, I'm not sure how much Explosive Shot does now. I remember previously, Explosive Shot was always your #1 damage of survival. It was Explosive Shot by a huge margin than everything else, competing for second. I remember at the beginning of Mist, it was like Auto Shot was 50% of your damage, which was crazy for survival. Talents, a Murder of Crow now does 40% more damage because of the readiness nerf. Aspect of the Ironhawk now reduces all damage taken by 10%, down from 15%. I don't know why they got rid of the Shadow Priest thing if they were just going to nerf Ironhawk like this. Why don't they just reduce shadow damage, all damage taken while in shadow form by 10% instead of just armor increase? Glaive Toss no longer initiates auto attack. Link's Rush has been increased by 30%. Narrow Escape Root Effect is now a nature spell. Was physical. That means it can be dispelled now with Dispel, instead of only with like effects which get rid of movement and parent effects, which is a nerf. Silencing Shot is no longer a talent and is now an ability that replaces Counter Shot for marksman hunters. Silencing Shot is so OP, but it's only for marksman hunters, which is a big nerf because marksman sucks. Spirit Bond now regenerates 3% of total health every 2 seconds while the hunter's pet is up from 2%. That's what it was at the very beginning of like the Mist beta, and then they nerfed it because it was too good. Yeah, they should have just left it at that. Wavering String now has a range, well, because the thing is, Spirit Bond also has like a glyph where it increases the healing you take by 10%, which is awesome. Wavering String now has a range of 40 yards up from 35. It's about time. New major glyphs. Glyph of Lean Pack reduces the range of aspect of the pack to 10 yards. Now, why would you want a smaller... I remember when I first read this, I had a clear thing in mind. It's like if you have a group of people really close to you that you want to move fast, but you don't want to affect everyone. Yeah, I don't know, I had a really good use for that, but I can't remember what it is right now. Camouflage also reduces spell damage taken by 10%. So basically, that'll like reduce spell damage by 10% of like the first spell that hits you because any damage breaks camouflage. Major glyphs. Wait, new major glyphs. Oh, I guess those are the new ones they added. Now these are just the changes. Glyph of Manpet now has a 100% chance to cleanse one curse, disease, magic, or poison effect from the hunter pet on each tick, up from 50% chance. Remember that used to be like a talent where it had like 2 points in it, and it had the exact same thing as the old glyph, where each point increased the chance for it to cure one of those effects by 50%. We only ever took 1 point into it because there was no reason to have 100% when 50% was already pretty freaking high. So now it's just 100%, which is a really nice buff for soloing, which I used to do a lot. Glyph of Mendy now speeds up the periodic healing of Menpan to restore the health to the pet every 1 second, doubling the total amount healed over 10 seconds. That's so awesome. Glyph of No Escape now increases the range critical strike chance against targets affected by Hunter's freezing trap by 100%, up from 20%. Now I always wondered why it wasn't just 100% always, because this glyph has existed forever, and it was always like some stupid amount, like 2% or 10% or 20%, when, you know, only one hit will break freezing trap. So why wasn't it just 100% all the time? But now it is, finally, which might actually make it useful because before it wasn't.